What if a single bullet could change the world? Ever wondered how World War I started? Picture this. It's a sunny day in June 1914 in Sarajevo, Bosnia. The air is filled with tension, anticipation, and the sense of a brewing storm. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, is in town. Suddenly, a shot rings out, and the Archduke is assassinated. This single act of violence becomes the spark that lights the fuse of World War I. This event triggered a series of diplomatic crises between Austria-Hungary and Serbia. The two nations were locked in an escalating conflict, a dance of power and pride, but they were not alone. The rest of Europe was dragged into the fray due to a complex web of alliances, like dominoes toppling one after the other. So a single bullet indeed set the stage for one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. How did a regional conflict escalate into a global war, you may ask? Well, the answer lies in the complex web of alliances and treaties that bound the nations of Europe together, much like a ticking time bomb waiting for the right spark. In the wake of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria, the fuse was lit. Austria-Hungary, enraged and seeking retribution, declared war on Serbia. This seemingly small event, however, had ramifications that echoed across the continent. Russia, bound by treaty to Serbia, mobilized its vast army in response, a move that sent ripples of unease across Europe. Germany, allied with Austria-Hungary, saw this as a threat and declared war on Russia. The gears of war had begun to turn, and there was no stopping them now. France, allied with Russia, was subsequently pulled into the conflict. Then, when Germany violated Belgium's neutrality as part of their war strategy, Britain, a guarantor of that neutrality, declared war on Germany. So a conflict that began between two countries had, within a matter of weeks, embroiled much of Europe. Key events punctuated the unfolding of the war. The Battle of the Marne, for instance, marked a significant turning point. The German advance into France was halted and pushed back, setting the stage for a long, drawn-out conflict. Further afield, the Gallipoli campaign saw a disastrous and failed attempt by the Allied powers to control the sea route from Europe to Russia. The war also introduced new forms of fighting. The landscape of battlefields was transformed by the extensive use of trench warfare, a grueling and horrific experience for the soldiers. Moreover, this was a war that saw the introduction of new weapons and technologies. Machine guns, tanks, and even chemical weapons made their deadly debut, changing the nature of warfare forever. The face of warfare was changing, and the world was watching. This was not just a war between armies, but a clash of industrial and imperial powers, a testament to the devastating impact of modern warfare on a global scale. How did this devastating war finally come to an end? Well, by the year 1917, the scales of the war began to tip. The United States, a global powerhouse, had entered the fray. Their entry brought fresh troops, resources, and a renewed morale, which shifted the balance in favor of the Allies. It was in November, on the 11th day of 1918, that the world breathed a sigh of relief. An armistice was signed, bringing an end to the fighting, a ceasefire that would lead to the end of the Great War. But the end of the war was not the end of its influence. In the aftermath, leaders from around the globe gathered in Paris for a peace conference. The goal? To negotiate terms and prevent such a catastrophic event from happening again. The result was the Treaty of Versailles, a document designed to establish a framework for peace. But like a stone thrown into a lake, the ripples of World War I were far-reaching. The map of the world was redrawn, empires crumbled, new countries were born, and the seeds of further conflict were sown. The war had ended, but its consequences were just beginning to unfold. So the war ended, but its impact echoed for decades. So, what key points should we take away from World War I? This was a war that dramatically altered the course of history, sparked by a single assassination and escalating into a global conflict. Its major events, from brutal trench warfare to the use of new, devastating technologies, left an indelible mark on humanity. The war's conclusion and its profound aftermath forever changed our understanding of conflict and its cost, reshaping global politics and society. And so, World War I, a cataclysmic event that reshaped our world, serves as a stark reminder of the cost of conflict.